I was 20 years old, in college, and working the night shift to pay the bills. My gig? The overnight guy at this small, pretty much abandoned subway stop way out on the edge of the city. The station was called Willow. My usual shift was 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. I spent the whole night cramped up in this tiny, grubby closet by the service entrance. It was freezing in there, and the old security monitor with the cameras smelled like dust and burnt plastic. All I really had to do was keep an eye on the cameras, maybe let a couple of late stragglers in if anyone actually showed up, which they rarely did, and the main thing, log the arrival and departure of the last train. The last train rolled out at 1:35 a.m. After that, the station was officially closed. They'd kill the lights on the platform, just the emergency lights and this humming silence that could totally drive you nuts. For the first couple of months, it was boring as hell. Then, little hiccups started messing with the routine. First, it was no big deal. I noticed that for the last few weeks, the last train's arrival time kept shifting. Sometimes it was 2 minutes late, sometimes 5 minutes early. Nothing critical, but my report had to be spot on. I started logging everything in a notepad. One night, after the last train had whooshed through, right on time at 1:35 that time, I checked the platform camera footage to make sure nobody was left. The platform was totally empty. I shut off the main lights. Maybe 15 minutes later, I zoned out from my studying and just happened to glance at the screen. There was a person standing on the platform in the glow of the emergency lamps. They were just standing by the edge, back to the tunnel, staring right at my cameras. I jumped up, checked the access log. Nobody had entered. The train had left. I quickly flipped the camera to a different angle. The person was already gone. I figured it was interference, maybe a glitch. But I distinctly remember it was a tall, really thin figure in a dark trench coat, and it stood there way too long to be a regular video blip. After that, I got the jitters. I felt like someone was always down there on the platform after 1:35. I'd rewatch the recordings. Most of the time, nothing. But sometimes I'd find proof. Last week, the last train came and went, leaving that dead silence behind. I closed the station. I was sitting there, watching a show, and then I heard it. Quiet, slow footsteps on the concrete platform. Way too quiet to be heard all the way back in my closet. But they were there. I checked the cameras, empty platform. I listened closely. The steps stopped, then started again. They sounded like someone was dragging something heavy, or maybe they were just really, really tired. I stepped out of the closet, walked a bit down the service corridor, and peeked through the peephole of the steel door that led to the platform. No one. I went back to the monitors. The cameras showed nothing but emptiness, but then it hit me. The footsteps hadn't stopped. They had just moved. I heard them right above me. The sound was coming from the ventilation shaft. My closet was located underneath an old technical tunnel that led somewhere up to the surface. I heard this scratching sound, like long, dry fingers scraping on a metal pipe, right over my chair. It didn't last long, maybe 30 seconds, but I honestly thought I was going to suffocate. Last night was the most messed up, 1:30 a.m. I'm sitting there, waiting for the train. 5 minutes, 10, it's late. At 1:47, just as I was about to call the dispatcher, a message came over my work radio. The dispatcher's voice was freaked out. "Willow, this is dispatch. We just got an alert. There's one passenger still on your platform. The train can't leave until they exit. Confirm you see them." I look at the cameras. Platform's empty. I key the mic. "Dispatch, Willow. Platform is clear. I repeat, no one is here." The dispatcher, static, voice escalating to panic. "Willow, don't lie to me. The indicator light is flashing. The passenger is approaching your service entrance. He's standing right outside your door. Get his ID and tell him to leave." I turned off the radio. I look at the monitor. Nothing. Just an empty platform. And then I heard it. A key scratching in the lock of my door, the service lock. No one can open that from the outside except management. I flew up out of my seat. I backed away from the door. The scratching stopped. Then, a very slow, deliberate rap on the thin metal door. Not a bang, more like a tapping with knuckles. And right at that moment, the radio, which was sitting on my desk, whispered. Not the dispatcher's voice, a different, dry, barely audible whisper that sounded like it was being spoken right inside my closet. I only caught 3 words. I saw you. I don't remember how I made it to the morning. I didn't turn on the light. I just huddled in the corner, clutching the radio. I didn't even open the door for the morning shift. I just bolted. I quit the next day, told them I was sick. I never told anyone about it. What was I going to say? That a shadow in a trench coat tried to get into my closet using a key it shouldn't have had? That the dispatcher saw him on camera, but I didn't? I still don't know who or what it was. A system glitch? A ghost? Or something that lives in the tunnels and gets a kick out of acting like a commuter? I have no idea. The only thing I know, nobody was supposed to be in that station that night but me. And someone was. And it wanted me to know it could open doors.